You're being robbed, not by a person, not by a scam, by something you willingly signed up for, probably while lying on your couch in your pajamas, half watching a show you don't even remember anymore. And here's the thing that makes this particular kind of robbery so brilliant. You're not just okay with it, you're defending it every single month. I want you to do something right now. Pull up your bank statement, scroll through your transactions, and count how many times you see a charge between $5 and $20 from a company you didn't immediately recognize. Go ahead, I'll wait. If you're anything like the average person, you just found somewhere between 8 and 12 of them, maybe more. Charges that have been quietly leaving your account every single month, some of them for years, for services you barely use, forgot you had, or honestly couldn't even name if someone put a microphone in your face. My name is Jake, and I probably spend way too much time thinking about money, consumer psychology, and the invisible systems that are specifically designed to separate you from your wealth without you ever feeling the pain of losing it. If you've ever wondered why your bank account never seems to grow, even when you're being pretty careful with money, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up opening your eyes to something you can't unsee. Because here's what nobody in the subscription economy wants you to figure out. These companies are not in the business of selling you a product. They are in the business of selling you a feeling cheap enough that you never cancel, but recurring enough that they get rich while you stay exactly where you are financially. Let's start with how we got here, because this didn't happen by accident. 20 years ago, if you wanted software, you bought it. One time. You went to a store, picked up a box, paid $60, and that was it. The company got your money once. If they wanted more money from you, they had to build something better and convince you to upgrade. Then, someone in a boardroom somewhere had a realization that completely changed the entire economy. What if, instead of selling someone something once, you could charge them a small amount forever? The math on this is almost embarrassingly good for the companies involved. If you sell someone a $200 product, you make $200. But if you charge them $15 a month after just 14 months, you've made the same money. And then month 15 arrives, and month 16, and month 47, and somewhere around year 3, you've made $540 from a customer who probably forgot they were even paying you. This model spread from software to music to movies to fitness to meal kits to news to games to meditation apps to cloud storage to password managers to VPNs to pet food to razor blades to skincare. Today, there's a subscription version of almost every product that used to be a one-time purchase. And the reason is simple. It's not because subscriptions are better for you. It's because they are dramatically, almost unfairly better for the company. But here's where it gets really interesting and honestly a little disturbing. These companies didn't just stumble onto a good business model. They spent billions of dollars in psychology research figuring out exactly how to make sure you never cancel. There's a concept called the cancellation friction ladder, and every major subscription company uses some version of it. You've experienced this. You try to cancel something, and suddenly you need to call a phone number that's only available during business hours. Or you have to navigate through 4 different screens, each offering you a discount to stay. Or the cancel button is genuinely hard to find, buried in settings, inside another menu, inside another menu. This is not an accident. There are entire teams of designers and psychologists whose only job is to make cancellation feel harder than it's worth. And statistically, it works. Research shows that the harder a company makes it to cancel, the longer the average subscriber stays, regardless of whether they're actually using the product. But the cancellation friction ladder is actually the least sophisticated trick in the playbook. The real genius of the subscription economy operates at a much deeper psychological level. It comes down to something called the pain of payment. When you hand someone cash for something, your brain registers that transaction as a loss. You can feel it. That physical act of giving money away triggers a mild but real psychological discomfort. This is actually useful because it forces you to consciously decide whether something is worth the cost. But subscription companies have almost eliminated that feeling. When $12.99 disappears from your account on the 14th of every month while you're sleeping, there's no pain, no decision, no moment where your brain says, wait, is this worth it? The money is just gone, quietly, automatically, before you ever had a chance to think about it. And the companies know exactly what they're doing. Studies have found that people consistently underestimate how much they spend on subscriptions by 200 to 300%. When researchers ask people to estimate their monthly subscription spending, the average guess is around $80. The actual average is closer to $240. People aren't lying. They genuinely don't know, because the system was designed so they wouldn't. There's also something called the sunk cost illusion that subscriptions exploit masterfully. Once you've been paying for something for a while, canceling it starts to feel like admitting defeat. Like those 18 months of gym membership payments will have been wasted if you cancel now, so you keep paying. Not because you're using it, but because stopping feels like losing. Now, let's talk about the number that should genuinely make you pause. The average American household now spends approximately $240 per month on subscription services. That's $2,880 per year. But that's just the average. If you're someone who has streaming services, a gym membership, cloud storage, a news subscription, a music service, a delivery app membership, a few mobile apps, and maybe one or two things you signed up for and forgot about, you could easily be sitting at $350 or $400 per month. Here's what that actually means for your financial future. And I want you to really sit with this number. If you took $300 per month, which is a very realistic subscription spend for a lot of people, and instead invested it in a simple index fund earning an average 8% annual return, after 10 years, you would have roughly $55,000. After 20 years, that number climbs to about $175,000. After 30 years, you're looking at over $440,000. $440,000, built entirely from money that is currently leaving your account every month for things you're barely using. And here's what makes this even more striking. That's not money you had to earn more of. That's not a side hustle or a second job or some complicated investment strategy. That's just redirecting spending that is already happening from things that give you almost nothing to something that builds actual long-term wealth. But I want to be clear about something, because this is where a lot of financial content gets preachy and annoying. I'm not saying cancel everything and live like a monk. Subscriptions aren't evil. Some of them are genuinely valuable. The problem isn't subscriptions. The problem is unconscious subscriptions, the ones you're paying for out of habit, inertia, or because canceling felt mildly inconvenient one afternoon 6 months ago, so you just never got around to it. There's a difference between choosing to pay for something and simply failing to stop paying for something. Most people's subscription lists are a combination of both, and they've never actually separated the two. So here's a framework I call the 3-bucket audit, and it takes about 20 minutes to do, but it will probably save you thousands of dollars. Pull up every recurring charge from the last 3 months, every single one. Then sort them into 3 buckets. Bucket 1 is things you use regularly and genuinely value. These stay. No guilt. No second guessing. If something is actively improving your life, paying for it is a completely rational decision. Bucket 2 is things you use occasionally but could probably replace for free or cheaper. These get evaluated. Maybe you keep 1 streaming service instead of 4. Maybe you find a free alternative for that app you open twice a month. Maybe you realize you can share a subscription with someone else and cut the cost in half. Bucket 3 is things you forgot you had, things you haven't used in more than 60 days, or things where if someone asked you right now what you get from it, you couldn't confidently answer. These get canceled. Today. Not later. Not when you have time. Right now. Most people who do this audit find somewhere between $50 and $150 per month in Bucket 3 alone. That's found money. Wealth that was already yours, just quietly leaking out through subscriptions you'd already forgotten about. Here's the other thing worth mentioning. After you do this audit, set a calendar reminder to do it again in 6 months, because subscription creep is not a one-time problem, it's an ongoing one. Free trials convert to paid plans, apps raise their prices quietly. You sign up for something during a promotion and forget it exists. The audit isn't a fix, it's a habit. The companies betting against your financial future are counting on you to never do this. They're counting on the friction, the forgetting, the inertia, and the vague feeling that $12 isn't really worth the hassle of canceling. And for most people, that bet pays off. Month after month, year after year, the quiet drain continues while the balance stays frustratingly flat and nobody can figure out exactly why. But now you know why. And more importantly, you know exactly what to do about it. Start the audit, find the leaks, plug them, and then watch what happens when the money that was silently funding someone else's wealth finally starts building yours.